One of the most common comments I get about myself and my artwork is that I'm talented. And it got me thinking about the question, do you need to be talented to make art? The short answer is no. No, you don't. But then I thought a little bit deeper, and actually, I think talent does play a bigger role in it than I initially thought. Don't get me wrong. The vast majority of creating artworks like realistic paintings or drawings is a skill. Some people might feel that it's a skill only certain people possess, but any skill can be learned. Sure, some people are more naturally talented, but really it just comes down to a lot of practice and a lot of hard work. In fact, some people just thinking you're naturally talented can actually feel like they're unaware of all that dedication and all that time that you've put into refining your craft. I mean, I've put thousands and thousands of hours into drawing and painting because I absolutely love it. And maybe that passion for art is part of my talent. Being able to persist and have that patience to put that much time into learning to paint and draw, that's what I think falls more into that talent category. I do think that, honestly, if you have the patience, anyone can create a hyper-realistic painting. You could look at each pixel on a photograph, mix up that colour, and then add that colour pixel to the right place on the canvas. You'd basically be acting like a human printer, but eventually you would produce a hyper-realistic image that would look exactly like a photo. Sure, it would take a heck of a lot of time, but eventually you'd get faster, you'd develop that skill, and it is very much a skill. For me, talent is in the drive to create. Having a passion for what you're making. And that's where that talent comes in. It's loving every minute of what you do. That's part of your talent. You don't need that to be able to produce great artwork, but it does help make that creative process more enjoyable and, if I'm being honest, a lot easier. It's not an absolute necessity though. Someone who has very little natural talent, but practices, can actually improve much faster than someone who is naturally gifted, but doesn't practice. That being said though, someone who's naturally talented and has that drive and determination to improve might find it a lot easier to create than someone without that natural ability. In my opinion, talent is more about what you are creating, as opposed to skill, which is the way that you create it. The ideas, composition, that creativity that goes into a piece, that stems from a natural ability to create. And I suppose that's what talent really is. It works both ways, really. You can be a very skilled artist with very little natural talent, but you could be a very naturally talented artist with very little skill. Both can create amazing artworks. They might be different in the style and the subject, but they could both be considered great. Take abstract art, for example. And I'm not talking about this contemporary nonsense of an unmade bed or 4 screws in a blank canvas. I'm talking about those abstract pieces filled with emotion and can really make you stop and think. Those pieces don't necessarily come from someone who's a skilled painter. It comes from an artist with a talent for giving that feeling and that emotion to a piece. And then there's also the opposite to that, a very skilled artist. They might be excellent at copying a photo and spend months creating a near-perfect hyper-realistic piece. People will stand in awe and be impressed by it, and that could have been created by someone who has next to no natural talent. Also, just to clarify, I'm not saying that hyperrealists are not talented artists. I mean, I aim for that realism in a lot of my work. But I think my talent, and where I stand out from other realistic artists, is the speed at which I can create my artwork. My large-scale drawings that you might have seen can sometimes take me less than a day to create, whereas other artists creating similar pieces, it might take them months to complete. I've always been able to create artwork quickly, not quite as quickly as I do now, but that speed at which I created my work, it was something that I was quite shy to talk about. It's actually one of the most common questions I get asked. How long did that painting or how long did that drawing take? And I don't know what the purpose of that question is. I almost feel as if the person asking wants it to have taken months, and that me saying it was done in a day is going to somehow disappoint them or devalue the artwork. But as I've gotten older and improved, I've realised that it's that combination of my talent and skill that allows me to create the way that I do and the speed that I do. And I should be proud of the way that I make my art, as should you. Whether you're naturally talented or you've put hours and hours into developing your skill, you should still be proud of yourself, and you can still be a great artist. If you'd like to learn some of my tips for how I create my realistic art so quickly, check out this video here. As always, thank you so much for watching, keep creating, and I'll see you next time.